Hi, I'm Brittany Ashley, your host of Breaking Norms, Building Dreams, your guide through this transformative journey in both business and life. This is your place crafted for dreamers, doers, or anyone who has been told they can't. Get ready as we challenge those narratives together. You're tuning in live to the United Public Radio Network, airing on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. We are streaming on all the popular platforms every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me for a candid and thought-provoking conversation celebrating your unique journey because you are worth it. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. We are pre-recording today. As some of you may know or not know, I'm on the board of chambers here in the West Shore area. And so we have an important meeting. So with that, Sarah is being so lovely to pre-record on the weekend. So thank you so much, Sarah, for recording.
Oh, of course. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. So as everyone knows, it's pre-recorded, but we are airing on Monday. So everyone, welcome to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. I'm your host, Brittany Ashley, and we are pre-recording our United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network 105.3 and 107.7 in amazing New Orleans. Get ready to escape the next hour as we break norms and build dreams with Sarah. I'm so excited.
I am too. I'm very excited. Hoping we have a good internet day today too.
Yes, Sarah's based out in the Yukon, and I'm in, as some of you know, Victoria, BC. And I was just saying our internet seems spotty, and then her internet seems spotty. So we'll see how this recording goes.
We will see.
No pressure. I'll just do a quick little introduction on who Sarah is. Sarah is the owner of Boreal Business Solutions in the Yukon, helps business owners understand and optimize their financials through education, consulting, and customizing bookkeeping. With 15 years of experience in accounting and bookkeeping, she has worked in public practice, corporate finance, and small business consulting. Since 2019, she has been actively engaged in the Yukon's entrepreneur community. I shorten it just so you know, because I find if I read it on for a very long time, I'd rather hear it from you too.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can just tell everybody a bit more about who Sarah is and how you started.
Yeah. So I'm Sarah. Like you said, I have probably closer to 20 years now, but that's maybe revealing how old I am. This doesn't feel like I'm old enough to have that. But yeah, I've been in this industry for a long time. And I have had Boreal Business Solutions up here in the Yukon for coming up 5 years. And yeah, it's been a journey for sure. For sure.
Yeah. We actually work with Sarah too. So I'm excited to get to kind of spotlight you because I kind of know you a bit more too and know your services. So I'm excited to spotlight your business and maybe hopefully get some business clients to your way.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know who's listening. Well, right? Well, that's the biggest thing I find as sole proprietors, business owners, even those who are incorporated. When we're ready to kind of move that needle in the business, so sometimes business owners, the one thing I find as I do consulting as well, is that they're not taking care of their books. The amount of times I'm like, okay, so I don't do the finances piece. I usually give that over to my sister-in-law, but now you and I are making our referral collaboration there. So I'll be sending them over to you. But the biggest thing that from what I can see when I'm looking at supporting businesses, that they're like, oh, well, it's just kind of over here. I haven't touched it. And that's looking at a business as a whole, you kind of need to understand the full level of the business, and and your finances are so important.
Yeah, they really are. And I think that a lot of people are very intimidated by it. It is an intimidating thing, especially anything involving CRA and like any kind of government oversight. It gets very intimidating and things like that. But I think there's so much more to it than that. And it's really part of being a good business owner and being your own CFO.
Yes.
and having all of that information so that you can run a good business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a lot of where my passion comes from. It's just trying to get rid of that fear and provide a lot more clarity and a lot more vision of how this can actually really help you grow your business, or at least get it started and make sure that everything's on track.
100%. Maybe you can share, I know you shared a bit about who you are, but what was your passion to start the business?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. Bear with me. I started off. I have a business degree. I've loved this type of field in accounting and everything since I was very young. And so I got my business degree and I started off in public accounting firms doing a lot of corporate year ends and things like that. And then I met the love of my life, and we had to move quite a bit from his career. And so it afforded me a lot of opportunities to try different things. We've lived in major centers and really remote communities. And so every time we moved, it was a bit of a reset, and maybe I can try something different. And then, of course, throw some babies in the mix and different things in life. And so by the time we came up to the Yukon in 2019, I had done the public practice, I'd consulted, I worked for one single corporation and did all their finances for them. And so I was able to really think about, what do I love doing and what do I want to do? And that's how Boreal came out of that. It just came out of me wanting to choose exactly what I did.
I love that.
Yeah, and I really find I love the one-on-one connection. I love working with people one-on-one and trying to, like, the education for sure, and just really, really helping develop beyond, here's your bookkeeping and trust us, it's good, and, your accountant will be happy, and, kind of getting into a little more of more to it than that.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing your story. I find motherhood kind of shapes us differently when we're thinking of the career scape. And that's kind of like what I kind of try to talk about with other moms on the show too, kind of bring that up and break down societal norms, because as moms, sometimes we're told, like, oh, you're a mom now, you need to just focus on that. But then you also have to provide for all these other things. Yeah. And at times your career ends up being put on the back burner. When I started Crave Dynamics, I didn't want other moms to feel like we had to put our careers on the back burner. So how can we still have that flexible lifestyle, and also building each other up? And so for those who are listening or watching, Crave Dynamics, we're a boutique kind of team. We assist with administration, marketing system setups, and a lot of the team members are moms and they all come from like tech backgrounds to being in the corporate end to like that makes our team. And I just love it because it motivates me to speak more about how we can bring each other up as motherhood, other than just, yes, taking care of kids, but career perspective, I think, is so important.
Absolutely. And I think it may just be more of our generation, but I think for a long time, there's this sense of whatever we do as moms, there's a guilt associated with it. Yeah. So if it's important for you to keep your career, then wow, really, you're willing to have other people raise your children, or you're willing to sacrifice your family for that. And if you choose to stay home and maybe, put your career on hold for a certain time being, wow, you would really do that? I can't believe you're putting your career on hold. There's always a criticism, no matter what direction we choose. And so I think it's so true. And it's been true for a very long time. I think even our parents' generation, there was a bit of that. And so I think, working through that, and I've always been a firm believer in do what is best for your family. And if it is important to you to keep a career, then let's see how we can do that. I know for me, there have been times where, depending on where we live, and I think a lot of people can attest to it these days, sometimes it's necessary to have both parents working. Things are expensive now, where we have crazy inflation and housing, and, it's, it can be very much a necessity. And so, that shifts things as well. And how is that going to work in there? And, or maybe a single mom situation, or, like, life is not linear. We can have our ideals and what we want and what we think is right. But, you have to be able to be adaptable and navigate that. So it can be tough to navigate. And I'm with you. I think we really need to encourage each other and figure out how best to do that.
We actually have a few single mamas on the team, and I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I know I have like such a supportive husband and all the things.
Yeah.
I do take lead on a lot of making sure the kids are getting to school and so forth, just because he has a stable job. It's not like it's been like, how some people are like, you need to do this because you're the mom. It's more just like an organic kind of feel of, but I guess I always personally wanted to drop my kids off and pick them up too. Like I wanted to be that mom. Actually, singing the other day though, this isn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. All the kids are around screaming and like balls flying at your face. Like this.
I know. Yeah, I think it's true. It can be really hard because I know for me as well, I want the best of both worlds. It's really important to me to have something like this that I'm pursuing and that is kind of giving me a purpose outside of my family. And not that my family's not fulfilling, no one come after me, but like something other than that. It's always been important to me. And it took me a long time to realize that through all of our different moves, no matter what situation we were in, I needed something else. And so I either took up a hobby and got really into it and then started selling it, or, like trying to do something like that. And I finally conceded, and this is fairly recently that I've finally figured this out, is that I need something else, and that's okay. So now I've been really working hard lately, and how can I mold my life so that I can have both? And what is a good balance of how, my time, I guess, what do I want every day to look like? And how can I formulate my work life specifically to get around that? I've also found my kids, I'm in a different phase than you right now. My kids are 17 and 15. And so when I was starting out, they were young teenagers, and teenagers don't need the day-to-day as much. They can be pretty independent. They want to be independent. But sometimes at 10:30 p.m., they want to talk. And meanwhile, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be really tired tomorrow and I have a big day. But of course, you drop everything to talk to them. And so I think that there is a lot of just being adaptive, and when you're a mom, you love your kids and you're going to prioritize them. So, yeah.
What kind of challenges have you faced throughout the years balancing entrepreneurship and motherhood?
I think that is one of the big challenges is deciding my kids are going to come first, my family is going to come first, and wanting that flexibility of being able to drop everything and do it, but still knowing that, especially in my industry, and there's a lot of deadlines. It's very deadline driven. And so sometimes me dropping everything for them means I'm going to have to work into the night, or, I think just being tired. We can say that's just being tired all the time because you're trying to do everything for sure. And so I'd say that's a big challenge. Absolutely. Another one, when you're an entrepreneur, if you go on vacation, your company still needs to function. If
Mm-hmm.
something tragic happens in your family or something urgent happens in your family, everything still has to function and it still stops with you. And
Yeah.
so that's a really tough one to navigate as well, especially at first. I think as you build a team, if your goal in your business is to expand into having a team, you can mitigate a little bit of that and have people you can rely on your team. But at first, it's all you. It's all you, and it can be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I talk about clients of on this end. Even I actually just had this conversation with another mom, and she's looking at hiring us, and I just said, well, what kind of automations do you have in place?
Yeah.
Because when I built this business with my daughter first, I knew I couldn't be there and answering phone calls, nor do I want to be answering phone. I don't like the phone, by the way. Don't call me. But I didn't want to be sitting there answering phone calls when I am still navigating being a first-time mom, breastfeeding, all the things. And the last thing I wanted to do is take a random call that might not even be the right client for me. And it's not to say that I wouldn't want to help them to navigate, to find somebody that can support them by any means. But I created a system. When you come to the website, you take the intake form, and it's kind of like a consumer journey already pre-mapped. But then I have my automations kind of funneled in there before I go on a Zoom call, say. So then I know that I'm not feeling like I'm drowning trying to do all the things. But like, as you know, the kids have been home all week this week. I don't even know what day we're on. We had snow day, we've had sick day, and then snow day again. It's been really fun over here.
Yeah.
So you and I were supposed to record yesterday, and that just didn't work out. And I was just kind of like, I was going to try to push through, and I was like, I just feel like if I push through, I wouldn't be as present as I would want to be. And then I just kind of like thought of too, like as a business coach being certified with the ICF, I know like you need to be mindful of your time and how much and giving like 100% to you and the listener. So I was just kind of like, let's try for tomorrow.
Yeah. As soon as you said we haven't even eaten yet, I thought, no, you gotta. I think I even said, just text me in the morning when you've had a good sleep, and we'll figure it out.
I slept in today, by the way, too. It was actually quite nice. I think I needed it.
Good for you.
Yeah. But for anyone listening who have young kids, from my end, building this business, it has been challenging. Like some people are like, oh, Brittany, you're always like, you're doing 600 miles. Like I can't keep track 'cause you're always doing something, or you're over here. Like, how does she do it?
Yeah.
ADHD. 2, I have created some systems in place to help me get further. But 3, like the biggest thing I've learned last year, and what I'm like, practice what you preach, is giving myself grace. So this week was hard for me of having chaos on the finally end of things. And so I had to put out a proposal. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just email them and let them know, like, it's not coming probably until end of day Friday. I am so kind of like on like the level of burnt out stage. I'm recovering too from last year feeling completely burnt out. And so I'm like, I don't want to get to that state again. So I messaged that prospect and I was like, look, listen, it's chaos over here. I apologize. And this is just anybody listening. Like, I feel like we live in society of like, we need to send everything like yesterday. And that's how we end up being burnt out. And the people that I really want to work with are the people that are understanding that I am a mom. I have 2 young kids still, 6 and 3. So I'm still navigating the need. I'm actually surprised that they're not coming in this room right now, to be honest. I'm still navigating that piece. I know you and I briefly talked about like burnout. I don't know what your perspective on that is, but like last year, I end up, any of the listeners who kind of come into the show all the time, I didn't really show up in December because I was like, I needed a break. I been showing up live every Monday last year. And I think I just pushed myself to that limit. And I really need to take that step back, regroup. And I had so many projects on the go. The radio show, I did a full rebrand. So I just was like, let's just take a break in December.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to, and good for you for doing that. And I think a lot of that, you hit on so many amazing things that I've also learned the hard way over the years, and I'm still learning. I have yet to figure everything out. Identifying who you really want to work with is a big one. And one, even when I started out, before I started my company, I actually joined, I think it was called like a mastermind, but some sort of group coaching. And it had a lot to do with marketing and identifying your client, your ideal client, and niching and taking away that urgency. And it was great, but I still found myself doing the same thing where you're taking on people out of urgency that maybe aren't the best fit. And for me, I'm a big time people pleaser. I thrive on all of that. And so I've really been discovering now how much that infiltrates into everything and can kind of compound the ideal client issue. So if I'm having that desperation and I just want everyone to be happy with me, and what if I don't find enough ideal clients and I'm taking on people who are lovely people, but maybe just not a good fit, then I'm getting stressed out because I'm trying to make it a good fit and make them happy, even if it's not something that is in my wheelhouse or my best work. And I'm trying to learn that that's never worth it. It's best to just consider it right away at first and work with people that way. And then it leads to that imposter syndrome feeling. I think that's a contributor to it. I know that's very much your field with the imposter syndrome, but I think that is a catalyst for that coming up when you're trying to work with people, or not even the people specifically, but even just the work that is not your niche.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel like I'm out of my wheelhouse here, but I want to make them happy and I committed to this and I don't want them to get upset. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And when I figure it out, or if you figure it out, you just let me know.
And I think you said so many great things there, but one thing I just wanted to say too, it's okay that we haven't figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Life is like, we can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. Can't predict what's going to happen within the hour. So I think going back to like giving ourselves grace, or I'm like a people pleaser as well. And actually, I mentioned this on the previous shows. I just finished Trauma with Money, and we talked a lot about scarcity mindset. And I like, when I end up having like feeling like that burnout kind of state last year in December, I love that program because I was like, you know what? I usually run on the scarcity, people pleasing mindset where, you know what? I just need to like shut down, regroup, and refocus, because running on that kind of mindset doesn't really serve you. Saying, if your cup's half full.
Yeah.
So I just kind of making that decision and thinking about how can I change my mind from a scarcity mindset, or like I tend to fawn away, meaning like I don't like conflict. I don't like doing this. But I started to think this year, I'm like, it's not about how to people please. Maybe it's about how I can show up and being assertive, but yet polite. And I'm always transparent, but I'm just, instead of saying yes, saying no, and just maybe end it maybe still with my transparency and being authentic. I think a lot more people would appreciate that. And I have done that with some recent people that came in and they're like, oh, I need a virtual assistant. And I was like, and they're like, oh, I need to do all these things. I was like, well, you don't have any of these things in place.
Yeah.
So no wonder I'm like, I'm sorry, but there's a reason why the first VA didn't work, because you need to have proper foundations in your business before you even move the needle over here.
Yeah.
And so going back to the burnout piece, that's where I find like a lot of business owners end up being in burnt out.
Yeah.
And leading into the imposter syndrome piece that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Shows up for quite a few small businesses. I think the percentage is like 83%.
Yeah.
I have to double check that stat. It's in the 80s, but so many of us have it. And that comes from childhood trauma to thinking it could also be self-inflicted too, of imposter syndrome pieces come in. But
for sure.
We're almost already at the midway piece in a way. So I'm going to say this because I was going to transition to something else. And I was like, you're already halfway there anyway. So I'll just say 5 minutes away from the midway. So everyone, thank you for tuning in to Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. Building Norms, Building Dreams. And we're on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 in New Orleans. The reason why I wanted to say that, because I wanted to go a bit more into what we originally first talked about of the show, is the fear of the CRA.
Oh man, yeah.
I know, because we have like 30 minutes, so I'm like, let's circle back on that, because I feel like we can talk about that for a good chunk of the show.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
But yeah, so we're based in Canada, as you know. So we have CRA, and you have to do your taxes. For anybody listening in the States, I'm just kind of prefacing. We have to submit taxes just like you do, and we have to pay and all the fun things. Personally, doing this course that I just did, I was like, I thought about the CRA, and I'm like, oh, they're there, but they always scared me.
Yeah.
I realized why there was childhood trauma with the CRA. So that is why I do not want them to email me, even if it's like, hello, like, I don't want to hear from you. Leave me alone. I pay my taxes. Goodbye. But yeah, like for me anyways, I realized that some of that came up, I think, at why I pay everything on time. Because my stepdad, who's no longer with us, he never paid on time, and his books were a mess, from my understanding. And whatnot. And I remember he actually bought me a car underneath the business that he owned at that one time. And the CRA had to like wanted to claim the vehicle. And so like that trauma in itself, I think, made me like, oh my goodness, don't want to ever look bad on them. And so like for me, I always have to pay everything on time. For one reason, for whatever reason, I can't seem to pay my phone bill on time. But everything else, my cell phone bill is one that just, they frustrate me because I can never get into the system.
Yes.
But from the CR standpoint, or just any other bills, I'm like, I have to always pay it on time because I don't want them to come after me. But what, from your perspective, what do you kind of see on your end?
Oh man, there's so much. I think the biggest one is people want to make sure they're doing their taxes properly. And of course your bookkeeping is a part of that, and your record keeping. And so there's definitely a lot of fear on that. Am I categorizing this the right way? Am I keeping my records the right way? So there's definitely that fear. And I could talk for a million years on that, about how it's more than just CRA for your books, but just keeping in with a CRA, that's probably the biggest one that comes up, is just, am I doing this right? Like, am I going to get audited? What happens? And the other one that comes up is just not knowing their deadlines and the requirements. GST comes up all the time. I don't know if I need to register for GST, and if I do, am I doing it wrong? So there is a lot of it to that as well. I find the CRA website does have quite a bit of information, but I get a lot of people saying, I can't even go on there. I don't understand it. It's not clear to me. And
Yeah.
so that's a big one too, is just knowing how to find information from CRA.
Mm-hmm.
I'd
Well, their
say, yeah,
site, any government site's horrendous anyways. Like, I don't know who's responsible for building those sites, but
yeah,
if anyone's listening, message me because we can fix that. But
yeah, yeah,
it's just chaos in there. I'm like, why?
yeah.
Like, it's just ridiculous. But going into like a little bit of, if anyone's listening and should I get a GST or a register, it
Mm-hmm.
here, it's $30K.
Yeah.
Uh, for me, I end up just registering for GST just in case.
Mm-hmm.
I did it way before, so I didn't have to panic. It was already done.
Yeah.
That's why I did it.
Yeah.
So it's not in the US, they don't have that. Just
Mm-hmm.
so in case
Yeah.
anyone's in the
Yeah.
States. We're talking about Canada.
Exactly.
We need to make sure that we're at a certain kind of revenue generating aspect.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
register and kind of claim and let the government know we're making
Mm-hmm.
X amount, and then that's when they start asking for GST. But on that, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't know about the payments that need to be done. The amount of people that have told me that they were surprised, shocked, and getting a bill of like 10 to 15 grand
Yes.
because they didn't know this.
Yeah.
And even when they have had bookkeepers. So I always message my sister-in-law because she does my books.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't paid GST in a while. I don't know where the accountant sheet went. What do I owe?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it is time.
Yeah.
It's been a few.
It's true. It's true. And I find another big one, similar to that is people who have worked as an employee for their whole lives so far and then become a self-employed individual where they're used to having taxes taken off their paychecks every month or every payday. And then it comes to the end of the year and they're going, oh, I didn't know. Like, I was blown away by how much money I owed in tax this year. And, and the CPP portion, again, this is Canadian, but CPP, yeah, like the Canada Pension Plan, when you're an employee, when you are an employee, your employer pays part of it and you pay part of it. But if you are self-employed, you have to pay both. And that right there is close to 10% of your net income. So things like that, people are almost always blindsided by that and blown away by it. And so it does feel very intimidating. And again, it's just something that needs to be factored in. And so one of the things that I'm working on is I'm hoping to have resources like that available for people who are starting out.
Amazing.
Yeah, one of the things, this is a shameless plug here. One of the things that I'm working on right now with Danny, actually, with you guys, is like a DIY how to start your bookkeeping when you're starting a business sort of thing. And it addresses things like that and how to be prepared and how to know.
I love that. I actually I pulled your blogs out here too. So
Oh, yeah.
I put it in there because I was looking at your sheet and I was like, she can give me more. I was like, what can I tell people to go see? Yeah, oh, that's great. I'm so happy Danny's helping you with that. It's so needed because it's like I had a high level. Maybe I knew because my stepdad was an entrepreneur and I just kind of listened and always and behind the back of the scenes without knowing that I was listening. But CPP was one, I think, for myself, was kind of like a slap in the face, to be honest.
Yeah.
Remember when I was like, what? I did everything else. I saved and I paid over here. And then they're like, yeah, CPP. I was like, I personally, since we've incorporated, I like being incorporated so much than a sole prop.
Yeah.
Personally, it's so much easier. My sister-in-law gives me like my T4. I'm like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of like in a way, like I'm an employee of Career Dynamics. So it just makes it so much more organic when I'm doing like the bookkeeping or the taxes.
Yeah.
Which that's another thing. A lot of people are scared of taxes,
Yeah,
and
you are.
I feel like we have so many good programs out there
Mm-hmm.
that we can do it ourselves. Do you have any recommendations for anybody listening on any kind of programs? Because I know there's QuickBooks.
Yeah.
I was
I'm
hoping.
I'm a huge fan of QuickBooks. That's primarily, almost exclusively, what I work with now. I love that it's online. QuickBooks Online is very much geared to do it yourself. It's not marketed to accountants and bookkeepers. It's actually marketed to entrepreneurs. And so there's quite a bit in there that is DIY, which can be right for you. It really just depends on what you like doing and what you're comfortable doing. And so that's a big one for me. I used to be a really big stickler of like, no, just pay the subscription, get something like QuickBooks. That's the only way to go. And I've softened on that a little tiny bit. I still really think that that's the best way to do it. And there's so many automations and everything in there. But what I'm kind of softened towards now is just do something. If something like QuickBooks Online looks like a foreign language to you and is too much to figure out, but you are a killer filing system person, like you have everything organized in your files, then do that. At least do something. And if you are loving your Excel spreadsheets and have everything categorized that way, then do that. Just do something. Please.
Where I'm like, no spreadsheets.
No. Or like, just don't come to your accountant with a shoebox where you just cleaned out your truck of all your receipts and put them in there. And yes, that has happened to me.
I've been told I'm one of the best clients at my accounting. He's like, I just love doing your stuff. You're always prepared. Everything's done. He's like, though you always seem to want to meet me in person, even though you're a virtual company. I was like, yeah, true story. But I just stuff I just don't. I like to be in person in case I had to sign any extra documents for the CRA. Like I just rather get it all done in our one meeting and not see you again for another year.
Yeah, exactly.
On that note, I actually asked my accountant, I was like, which program do you want to see like people to use as a business? He's like, personally, QuickBooks, because it was built for like bookkeeping purposes and accounting, and we love it. But we see so many people want to use Wave, and I find a lot of people end up using Wave because it is a free program.
Yeah.
But he said that there's just so many issues with Wave that it ends up being more costly with business owners in the end when they bring in an accountant. I was like, noted. I'm like, now we'll start educating and pushing people more to QuickBooks, because I'd rather you use a proper system in place to get things systemized and organized than use a program that might not get you to scale up to the next level. So I try to push more on QuickBooks now. My sister-in-law, because I did use Wave. I was like, I liked Wave because I would just like, their app was genius. Like QuickBooks need to get on this. If you're listening, QuickBooks, fix your app. Their app never works for me. Like I scan it and it doesn't like transfer over, and it's so frustrating. And so what I end up doing is just like screenshot it, or I drive my sister-in-law on this. So she's listening because she listens to the show. She's like,
Yes.
I do screenshot some things, and she's like, you can't screenshot things, or
I know. I'm a big fan of QuickBooks. They don't pay me a commission or anything, but they probably should for how often I promote everything for them. But I am a big fan of QuickBooks, but I do not like their receipt scanning feature at all. It has never worked for me either. Personally, our company, we use a program called Dext, and it is great. It is very, very good. From our perspective, it's very good because we are all remote. I don't have an office downtown. We are all Like I have 4 employees, and so we all work from home or sometimes in the field. And so being digital is very important to us.
Mhm.
And it's this pretty recently, actually, this summer, I decided that that's all we're going to do now is digital. We're really getting away from any kind of need to exchange paper and everything. And being able to do that and have programs like Dext it makes it so much easier for us.
Mhm.
The only problem with Dex is it is pretty pricey if you are like for me to use it, I get some better deals and everything like that as an advisor. But if you were not to be involved with a bookkeeper and just purchase it on your own, it can get a little bit expensive. Totally worth it for some people, but it's at a higher price point for maybe if you only have 1 or 2 of you. So, but there's definitely options like that there, and it integrates seamlessly with QuickBooks and with quite a few other softwares. So I think there are other apps out there that support things like that, but it is nice. It would be nice if QuickBooks just kind of got their act together on that one and made that one work really well and used it all. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
That's the only thing that's missing from that program.
Yeah.
Because I would say, like, I'm pretty on it with my books. Like, I even say to my sister-in-law, I'm like, how can I get better? How can I do this? How can I do that? Like, but the thing is, like, for me, like, I'm the kind of, I want to be the business owner that knows every single area of my business, which I think every business owner should be like that.
100%.
Even like if you can't do marketing all the time, having somebody to report to you of like what is going on that end, I think is very important. I don't, maybe because my background was in the tourism hospitality field, and like the rule of thumb is if you are working in, say, like the housekeeping department, you need to know what it's like to be a cook. You need to know what's like that. It's to be over here and here and here. So it's like the program that I was in anyways. So if you're managing a team, you know exactly why people might be stressed out over here or here and here. And I've just always had that mindset of I need to firsthand be like very understanding what somebody might be going through on this department versus this department, so we can all come together collectively as a business.
Right. Really. Yeah.
Do you use, I know you use QuickBooks, but what are your thoughts on Xero? Because Xero seems to be very popular. Right?
I've used it. I'll be honest, I don't love it. I'm very good with software. My dad was a programmer, and I like to think I gleaned some of his brain from him. So, but I don't like Xero very much.
Yeah.
None of my team knows how to use Xero except me, so it's not something that I've really had to explore a lot more. And perhaps if I was working in it all the time, I would not have such disdain for it. But at this point, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but yeah, it's not horrible.
That one seems to be trending-ish the last few years, thing I've noticed. But if anyone's listening, worst case scenario, just start with QuickBooks, I say.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it all comes down to how you set it up as well.
Exactly.
And I find I love doing things like that. My guilty little fun thing to do is to actually clean up really big giant messes people have made of their books and get it all optimized again. So, it can happen. It can happen for sure. But there are people like such as us, but there are other people out there as well where if you're still looking at something like QuickBooks and it's intimidating and you want it functioning well, we can help you get it going and give you some education on how to use it and everything. And then you can continue on it with yourself.
Amazing. Do you have any other, I know you said that you're making some PDFs on do-it-yourself. Is there anything else coming in the works? I know you briefly talked to me like prior back about courses. Is that kind of coming in?
It is. So I've never been diagnosed with ADHD, but sometimes I think I have to brain big time. So I currently have a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm trying to focus on one or two before going on to everyone else. So courses have been something I've wanted to do since the beginning, and I've never prioritized it. But recently now working with Danny, especially and getting it going, I think that's going to be the first one that I come out with, is the DIY bookkeeping for entrepreneurs. And I'm really excited about it. It's going to go into different industries, like service-based, product-based, even MLMs or affiliate marketing type things. Mm-hmm. So I hope that's going to be really useful for everybody. Nice. I'm working I have an outline for a payroll one, that's another one that's hugely intimidating for people. Mm-hmm. Starting off with payroll, there's so many compliance issues around that, and now it's not just you're involving somebody else that you need to do it right with. And so I have an outline for a fairly concise payroll I guess it would be DIY, but more, here's what you need to think about and know about payroll and your responsibilities for it. That's a little bit tougher of one to make Canada-wide. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because every province has their different things. And so, but yeah, I'd like to make that one as well. So those are the main ones that I'm starting out with. And, some freebies coming out too with common deadlines and everything as well. So
amazing. Is it going to be found on your website? Because I just have your website in the front here for anyone looking.
Yeah, it will eventually go on the website. One thing that I'd like to get going fairly soon is just a newsletter that's coming out as well. And so if you want to join my mailing list, mm-hmm. It's pretty early. Don't expect me to bombard you with anything whatsoever.
You're starting. That's good.
Yeah, but if it is something you're interested in, certainly go on my website and join our mailing list. And then as these things are coming closer and getting launched, then you can be made aware of that. And also take advantage of some little freebies and advice each time. So, yeah.
I have a question about how can business owners build confidence in their finances?
I think having it set up properly is a big thing, and just not being afraid of it, staying involved in it. I'm a big advocate for when you have your books in order and your finances in order and everything is in there, then you can make really timely decisions as a business owner. And with the way things are so digital these days, it's actually really helps us keep things in time. For example, being able to see what's going in on your bank account and your credit card all the time. We can do that as often as we want right now. We're not waiting at the end of the month for the bank statement to come in the mail. We aren't trying to balance our checkbooks anymore. I don't even know that my kids know what a checkbook would be. Yeah. And they're not young kids, and so.
What is a check?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, we can really take advantage of this digital age that we're in, and the fact that everything's very paperless and online already, and take advantage of that and have real-time data. So if you're selling a product, mm-hmm. and you aren't in tune with your books, at the end of the year, you may look at your books and go, wow, my margins are horrible. When I factor in freight and when I factor in my Shopify fees or whatever platform you're using, you may not have as good of an income as you thought you did. So if you have that a little more timely, you can go halfway through the year or anytime you want to and take action sooner on that. And so I think that's a big part of it. And where taking the fear out of it comes out of is just being on top of it all the time. And it's not so intimidating for you.
And for anyone listening, sometimes maybe you didn't find a good bookkeeper or somebody that you meshed well with. Could be one, or two, you're scared of asking questions. And if you have a good bookkeeper, no questions dumb. So maybe start there too, asking questions with the bookkeeper. And if you're just first off looking also for a bookkeeper, well, we have Sarah here, so we'll go see Sarah. But make sure you make some questions down, so you're kind of like interviewing the person before you onboard them into your business and making sure that they're the right fit. Because
Mhm.
one of the things that seems to be trending a lot too is that everybody wants to be a bookkeeper. And my
Mhm.
big thing is like, what is your experience?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've seen ads on social media saying, train to be a bookkeeper in a weekend, and it's a perfect side hustle income. I'm going, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. There's a little more to it than that.
So I don't know if I've ever told you, but like I loved bookkeeping. I was in accounting. I did accounting as my electives in school. And
Yeah.
I was like the top in the class. And I actually was asked by my teacher to go and work in a firm. And I did. When I was like, oh, it's so boring in here. I couldn't do it. I did it for a summer. And I
Yeah.
was like, I can't, this is just, and I think that was like my end of my journey.
Mhm. Mhm.
But maybe
It's
help
true.
me organize my books and where I get
Yes.
kind of mind frame from it.
Mhm.
But do I want to do it all the time? No. That's
Yeah.
the main thing I outsource in the business for sure as I build
Mhm.
everything up, because I
Yes.
know I could do it, but do I want
Mhm.
to? No, because it doesn't give me joy. Where gives you joy?
Yeah. Yeah. I am with you on I can't do anything that's too mundane and the same thing all the time. I go squirrely, which is why I end up with 17 different irons in the fire and special projects. But thankfully my team is excellent and they're really good at doing the, day to day and everything like that. They're amazing. So um,
Amazing.
but I think you also hit on something where you're choosing in your business as the owner to outsource that particular thing.
Mm.
And, there's definitely something to be said where for bookkeepers and outsourcing that is a good thing. And I think that especially right now where, I mean, in Canada, things are really, our inflation's crazy. We don't know what's going to happen with a lot of things. There's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear and just I think, unknown of what the future is going to look like for our economy and everything like that. And, when you're a business owner, you have to watch your expenses and everything. And I think that's something that people can very easily say, oh, I can just take care of that. It's fine. It's not something I want to put money towards. And that is a reality. And that's a big reason why I'm trying to come out with more course-based things of, DIYing and doing that. But I think there is still something to be said for outsourcing that and making that investment in it is really is an infrastructure type of move where you're investing in that and having someone else manage that piece of it. So that part of it is a time thing. So you can free up your time to actually do what you want to do in the business, like promote it or grow it and that sort of thing. But also just to take away something that just makes you not want to do it anymore, like the fear or even just I can't do this on my own. I need to take that off my plate to enjoy life.
Well, everything for us too is in US fees too, which triples the cost of subscription. So this year I tried to think of different subscriptions, and last year, what can I remove?
Yeah.
Just pay like a one-time fee. So there's a program called AppSumo for any business owners listening that can give you like lifetime access into marketing platforms. So my social media management tool, for example, lifetime fee, and I love it. I've been to like BigVoo, which is like a recording system that does teleprompt stuff. Love it. One-time fee. So I'm like kind of in the black hole. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, what else can I get? Trying to not pay for things. Because my end goal is I would rather all those extra fees to be removed in a way and then pay for a good CRM and then my website and hosting. It would be my end goal. And then, email stuff. So my end goal, like to really minimize those fees, because with the Canadian US conversion, we're paying twice, double, whichever. So like my course, for example, was like $2,000 in American, and the conversion ends up being almost $4,000.
Yeah.
Which it hits the heart a little bit.
It really does. It really does.
But we're already at time. I told you it was going to fly by.
Wow. It did fly by.
Do you have any last minute kind of tips? Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, the best way is on our website. We have a contact form on there that my wonderful admin keeps track of. And so that's probably the best way to get in touch with us. But yeah, definitely I'd encourage you to join the mailing list. And don't be surprised if you don't see anything right away. But at least, that's the best way to see what's going to be coming as far as courses go, for sure. And I think at the end of the day, you said it earlier, just, have grace with yourself. You're not going to have everything figured out right away or even 5 years down the road. And that's okay. Have grace with yourself. Do your best. Show up as your authentic self. And I think you're going to be okay.
I love that. Well, thank you, Sarah, so much for coming on the show today. Thank you to all our listeners. As you know, we are Breaking Norms, Building Dreams. Please come back the following week. We have another lovely guest coming on. And a big thank you to the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network. With that, everyone, remember your journey is unique and your worth is unquestionable. Thank you.